so the show's over, so I got some other things.
Hey, hold on, man. Look.
What?
Oh, we got round 2 here, my friend.
Right.
I want you to
One
take a
show.
look.
The contract says one show.
Oh, but we got to see if your money's worth it here. We got to test you out here. I want you to take a look at the screen here. That's the next one we're going to do.
WrestleMania 2?
WrestleMania 2!
No, that's more 3 Location 2. Really?
Yes.
So I have no time to prepare for this. I haven't seen this match since 86.
Yeah, it's, you know,
I think I've never seen it since because it, ugh, ouch. See, so what's the goal of this? What are you trying to embarrass the important one so I can embarrass you back?
Well, let's take you back to your childhood and let's see what you remember.
My childhood, I was in high school.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. For me, it was definitely my childhood. I was actually...
So you want to test the important one here. You want to find out what I know because you know nothing and you know I'm right. And you want me to prove it to you cold turkey.
That's what I want you to do.
Fans, pay attention to this because I'm going to embarrass him.
Okay.
You know, even more embarrassing than nature did to him.
Well, that does happen time to time.
All right, so hit me with it, Nickel Nose. What do you got first?
All right. Well, at the Nassau Coliseum, you had Vince McMahon and Susan St. James there in commentary.
Oh,
How did you feel about that commentary team?
no. Oh, no. I think Susan St. James said it best. Oh, no.
She wasn't very animated.
She was not very animated, she wasn't very good, and she wasn't on camera long enough to show off her beauty, so she was just a botch all the way around.
There it is. I can't disagree with that. Opening match here, and going from main event to curtain jerker, Paul Orndorff taking on the Magnificent Morocco with Mr. Fuji.
Ooh, okay.
What do you remember about that match?
I should remember more, but I don't. I was a fan of Magnificent Morocco, especially his later stuff with Fuji Vice. I thought that was very entertaining stuff. I was actually a Paul Orndorff fan for a while. But this match doesn't rate very high in my give-a-damn meter. So I would guess it was probably a 2.
Yeah, I mean,
star.
It ended in a double count out. It was, you know, to start pretty much where Orndorff was turning baby. Fans were getting behind him a little bit at that time. Yeah, ended in a double count. I give it a 2 stars. I really, it was a better opener than the first WrestleMania, but there's still work need to be done.
Well, and to be fair to WrestleMania 2, they were still they were selling the name, not selling the product. It was about Mania 6, 7, somewhere in that time frame where they started to realize people were paying extra money to see these matches, they should be better. And if I can't remember this match of 3 to include Mr. Fuji that I really enjoyed, yeah.
You're right. It could have been better, but it wasn't as bad as, like I said, as the first WrestleMania here. Big match here. This was huge. Intercontinental Championship. George the Animal Steele versus Randy Macho Man Savage with Elizabeth.
They actually, for the concept of wrestling booking where opposites attract, was put on full display here. The educated high school English teacher, George the Animal Steele, who couldn't talk, taking on a guy who could cut a promo and came off smarter than he appeared in real life, Randy Savage. Very, very interesting dichotomy there. I know Randy went over, and I would say it was probably not one of their better matches in their long program, but it was solid. I would probably go 2.5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where I ranked it at. I mean, Savage went over dirty, of course, you know. I love the storyline between George Steele and Elizabeth there. The love, the passion between the animal there going after her, and of course, every time.
And it's baser to the human instinct. Beauty and the Beast is always going to draw. Even that horrible movie where Robbie Benson was the voice of the Beast, it still drew money.
It did, and honestly, it could have been higher on the card, I think, but being number 2 wasn't horrible at that point.
Well, what was it? 4 matches each at 3 locations or something like that?
Pretty much.
So the number 2 match on a 4-card match, that's actually a solid quality position for it.
Exactly, yeah, I'm looking at it now, yeah. He was number 2 out of 4. Here's the third one here out of this. George Wells against Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, this is where Jake Roberts really started to show his sadistic side, if I remember right. He'd come in a short time after Mania, I think. I'm trying to remember back. And they really were pushing the sadistic Jake Roberts. And George Wells was the perfect foil. George Wells wasn't really well known in the United States. I mean, he was decent on the NWA circuit for a while, but he really put over the whole. Now, I wasn't a fan of the sliming himself, the spit and sputum that came out of his face, but he really put over Jake Roberts well. So from a storytelling standpoint, it would be a 3-star match. The match itself was probably about a 2-star.
There you go. I mean, it was a quick 5-minute. Jake Roberts, it was, George Wells, I'm sorry to say this, but performance-enhancing talent, and that's what he was on this one. I mean, literally, hardly any offense there. I give it about a 1.5. I mean, I felt like it wasn't a Mania match where that should have been.
And that goes back to what we discussed before in WrestleMania's review show. There were some matches on there that should have been on television, should not have been on a separate paid event.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the big matchup here, Mr. T versus Rowdy Piper in the boxing match. Joan Rivers was the announcer. Judge Daryl Dawkins, Cab Calloway, and G. Gordon Liddy were the judges. Don't forget timekeeper, Herb. I tried to remember who the hell Herb was. I actually looked at it. I'm like, okay, who is this guy? I don't know. Somebody with the company, that's what I know. But yeah, Piper's corner, he had Bob Orton, Lou Duva. Mr. T had Smoking Joe Frazier and Jim Connolly and the Hayden Kid.
This goes back to, again, what I talked about at the main event of the Mania show, of the Mania review show. This was more to show that the average celebrity got into wrestling. The boxing match was not horrible. Both Mr. T and Roddy Piper do have some boxing experience and do have some boxing in their background. You could also tell that this was heavily booked. The rope-a-dope was very entertaining, watching Mr. T duck in the throws, but you could also tell Piper a couple times through, because he was starting to go too quick and had to slow down. So you could tell it was very, very heavily scripted and heavily booked. But to get the fans to believe that Hollywood likes wrestling, I'm going to go 3 stars.
Yeah, Mr. T, of course, won by disqualification. Piper out there with the body slam. It was a great show, as far as keeping everybody's minds into it, the captivity of it. I rated it 3.5 stars. I felt that was a good way to leave the Rosemount Horizon. I'm sorry, the Nassau Coliseum into the Rosemount Horizon,
where they had the lowest crowd, the smallest crowd of the 3.
Yep.
In Chicago.
That's right. They went to Chicago after this. Gorilla Monsoon, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Kathy Lee Crosby on the commentary.
I forgot she was on there. She must have performed very little, gave very little to the commentary.
She was kind of minimal, making a little bit of slight humor. But
I'm going to be fair to Gorilla Monsoon, who, he was silly in some of the things he did, he was a solid play-by-play man. And for those of you who didn't know, there was one time there was a show that it was Randy Savage and Gorilla Monsoon, and they brought in a guy named Art O'Donnell, who was a big football player from the Baltimore Colts, I think is who he played for.
Yeah, Art Donovan.
Or Art Donovan. And after about the fourth time of hearing, how much did this guy weigh? How much did this guy weigh? They just learned to ignore him and keep going, and nobody missed Art O'Donnell.
Yeah, Art Donovan.
Art Donovan.
Yeah, it's all right, man. Yeah, I'm, Baltimore man myself, so that's where I remember.
So,
But anyways, yeah, first match on the card, Velvet McIntyre taking on the Fabulous Moolah, Ladies Championship. So the title changed hands from Wendy Richter all the way down, and Moolah got it back.
as the Spider Lady.
As the Spider Lady. And this went into this match with Velvet McIntyre.
And Velvet McIntyre was a Moolah girl. So, from what I remember of this match, it basically was Moolah was showing she deserved to be where she was. Velvet McIntyre was an okay talent. She wasn't great. If she would have spent 6 months at any other school, I'm going to put the Funking Conservatory, put Dory Funk Junior School.
Okay.
If she would have went from Moolah to Dory Funk, I think that Velvet McIntyre could have been a decent talent. The problem was, when you stay in one place and only learn one way, you're stuck in one way. So I'm going to go with 1.5 to 2 stars.
Yeah. This is totally, I felt like this was the worst match on the card. I'm sorry. 90 seconds is about what this match lasted. And it was a relatively quick 3 count. I mean, you could see it. It was just like, here, get this match over with, get out of the way. I give it a 0.5 star, and I normally don't go below 1, but this one, to me, truly deserved that moniker there.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Nikolai Volkov with Classy Freddie Blassie taking on Corporal Kirchner in the flag match. Yeah, see, he remembers.
Oh my God. Full disclosure, the both of us are combat veterans. I hate the flag match.
Why do you hate the flag match?
The flag match, it's schlock. It ranks right up there with some of the other really cheesy, obviously stilted, one-sided affairs I'm all about patriotism. I'm all about supporting your country. Wrestling is not the place to do it. Wrestling is a place to enjoy good versus evil in a compelling way. And a flag match cannot be compelling.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I understand why it works, because you want to get people interested in and invested in the match. But
And Kirchner was the wrong person. Kirchner was not a great talent.
and it's like watching him. It's like was watching Jim Duggan before Jim Duggan came out. In some respects,
Jim Duggan as a heel against Ted DiBiase was actually really compelling.
yeah.
But Jim Duggan with the 2x4, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. Kirchner, of course, hit Volkov with Freddie Blassie's cane. Again, Freddie Blassie. He got caught this time. I give it a 2 star. I thought it was a solid performance. It was way better than the first match there at the Coliseum there with Fabulous Moolah. So I give it a little bit more of a boost.
Well, if you go into, for your definition, negative star rating with a 0.5 star, then you can only go up.
Yeah, and it really was. It was way better here. So here you go. This was one of the big matches on the card here. The 20-man Battle Royal.
The football players and Andre the Giant with the fridge and Bill Fralick.
Let me run this down for you. So here you go. Timekeeper, Clara Peller. Where's the beef? Yeah.
Ooh.
You remember that one, right?
Yeah, Wendy's, for those of you that don't remember her.
That's right. Referees were Dick Buckus, Ed Too Tall Jones, both football players. And here were your excuse me. Here were both of your participants here. All 20 of them here. We had Jimbo Coover of the Chicago Bears, Pedro Morales, Tony Atlas, Ted Arcidi, the Strongman, Harvey Martin, Golden Boy Dan Spivey, Hillbilly Jim, King Tonga, the Iron Sheik, Ernie Holmes, B. Brian Blair, and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, the Killer Bees. Big John Studd, Bill Fralick, Brett the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Russ Francis, Bruno Sammartino, William Refrigerator Perry, and Andre the Giant.
I know Andre went over.
Yes, he did.
And Jim Neidhart did one of the most embarrassing self-eliminations ever. Because if I remember right, Andre was in the corner, Neidhart come running into the boot, did a spin around, a pirouette, and then kind of fell over the top rope, and Andre threw Bret Hart out onto him, or something similar or close to that. I also remember one of the football players, I think it was Russ Francis, it may have been Bill Fralick, that stood up to Big John Studd.
That was Bill Fralick. Very good.
And that was, they had a nice nose-to-nose. There was some good, for a battle royal, there was some good storytelling, which normally a battle royal is all about who haven't we given a win in a while so we can say we gave them a win. And in this case, there was actually some decent storytelling. So for a battle royal, especially with untrained football players, I'm going to go 3.5 stars.
Yeah, that's basically what I went with there. I mean, it was just nice to see the pageantry there. You know, you had different, athletes, and a lot of people forget about it in there. Ted Arcidi there, the strong man, the only guy that wasn't a professional football player or wrestler in this battle royal.
Well, and then he became a wrestler, but the less we speak about that, the better.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God.
He had all the mobility of a tectonic plate.
Yeah, but he was just huge. He was just gigantic. So here we go, the big main event here at this at the Nassau Coliseum. The Dream Team with Luscious Johnny V taking on the British Bulldogs with Captain Lou Albano and Ozzy Osbourne.
The Dream Team, Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine. A very forgotten but very decent team. This is pretty much the last time I gave a damn about Brutus Beefcake. I did not care about the barber gimmick. I thought it was useful.
You didn't like cutting and strutting?
No. And I didn't like where he tore out the butt cheeks of his tights and then used the high knee. That wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Quiet, heel, not wearing a mask, so I'm eliminating him as the disciple, whatever he was in the One Warrior Nation, or when he was the man with no face, or when he covered himself up and was the masked stranger that was attacking him. Forget all that. When Brutus Beefcake had a manager and he said nothing, and had a better presence out there like a Greg Valentine, Beefcake was good in the ring. But he was very limited, so he needed a lot of structure. This match, if I remember right, I think this is when the Dream Team took the titles off the Bulldogs.
Nope.
Okay, so that happened shortly after that.
It did shortly after, but yeah, the Bulldogs.
So it still set up a good program between the two. I know just by the sheer fact that the Bulldogs were in it as the British Bulldogs, it's at least 2 stars.
They were the challengers in this match.
Well, they were the challengers.
Yes. They ended up winning the tag team titles.
Oh, did they?
At WrestleMania 2. In roughly 20 minutes.
All right, so now you have it on camera. I was wrong once. It happens. I'm not God. I'm a human being.
I gotta win.
Yeah. So Tito Santana, 1 for 35.
All right. Oh, hey.
So anyway, just because the Bulldogs were in it, it's already a 2-star. I liked Greg Valentine. I liked the Dream Team. So I'm going to give it a 3 stars.
Yeah. I mean, I highly loved it. I thought it was a great way to end off with the Nassau Coliseum. I gave it a 4-star match. I felt like, with also Ozzy Osbourne being there celebrating there in the end, I felt like it was a good, memorable moment for a lot of wrestling fans.
Did he bite the head off Matilda?
He did not. It was coming, though. I could feel it at some point. But he did not do that. So here we go. Now we're at the Los Angeles, California here, the LA Coliseum. Right? Is that where they had that at?
The LA Forum?
LA Forum. There you go. I wanted to make sure I had that correct here. I didn't You had Jesse the Body Ventura, Lord Alfred Hayes, and Elvira, all doing color commentary.
I do remember Elvira, so she wasn't horrible. She was okay. She didn't have a lot of timing because movie timing and TV host timing are not the same as wrestling timing.
Yes.
But at least she was better than just a pretty face. She actually had something to say.
Yes.
Now, you said Lord Alfred and Jesse Ventura? Oh my God. Just the horror stories. I could have Lord Alfred Hayes in my head right now. Stop it. Good God. That guy should never have been allowed in front of a microphone.
I liked him as a manager way back in the days when he was in AWA. I thought he was fairly decent. I mean, I'm not going to say he was grade A, but
Fine. I'll get. He's the B+ player of the AWA.
There you go, B+ player. So here you go, another great famous one here, great matchup you're going to love. Hercules Hernandez against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He's doing this cold, by the way. He does not have any notes about anything, so pay attention.
Ricky Steamboat went over. Hercules Hernandez didn't embarrass himself. In future episodes, you will hear me talk trash because I was not a huge Ricky Steamboat fan, but Ricky Steamboat could work with anybody. So, decent, we'll call it 2.5. 2.5.
Yeah. It wasn't a really good match. It really wasn't. I mean, it lasted about 10 minutes. Thank God. I still say it was probably about 7 minutes too long for this match. I gave it a 1.5. It's not Ricky's fault. I think it was more Hercules just being stiff, and I think him not being able to work a Steamboat style match.
Well, as we have learned in the embarrassment of 2019, 2020, the meme era, we know sometimes brooms fall down.
They do. And speaking of which, here you go. This is the next one here. Adrian Adonis with Jimmy Hart against Uncle Elmer. Yeah. If you don't remember Uncle Elmer, look him up.
Please don't. Please don't. He does not need any more hits anywhere. Stop it. That guy should be erased from history.
Hashtag Uncle Elmer.
With that being said, I was a big fan of Adrian Adonis as the tough, leather-wearing guy. Him and Jesse Ventura as the East-West connection, while two not superly talented guys, brought a great chemistry out, a.k.a. the New Age Outlaws. I'm sorry. Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg are not talented apart. That's why they only worked together. Adrian Adonis, I'm sure, went over. I'm sure it was a short match. Besides the fact that Elmer was like, 6'10", like 380 pounds or something like that?
Yeah, could not really move in the ring.
Loch Ness, he was not, because at least Loch Ness could walk from one side of the ring to the other. This would be my half a star.
Half a star, yeah. I went a little higher than that. I gave it 1.5 because I understood, two big guys, they had a feud going on because of Elmer's wedding going on at that time.
I forget. Stop this! Quit bringing that garbage up.
See what I remember?
I remember it. I'm just trying to figure out how to delete it from my brain.
Many quantities of alcohol, I would say.
And I'm going to blame all of you at home if I see the hashtag Uncle Elmer.
So, yeah, I gave it a 1.5 star. It just wasn't really that good. Next match here, the Funk Brothers, Terry and Haas, with Jimmy Hart taking on Tito Santana and the Junkyard Dog.
So if I remember right, they didn't want to call him Dory Funk Jr. because he had recently done something in the NWA,
Correct.
So they called him Haas Funk. This is pre-Jimmy Jack.
Yep.
So Dory and Haas against Tito and Junkyard Dog. Is that what you said it was?
Yeah.
The only feud that Terry Funk ever seemed to be in the WWF was the Junkyard Dog. He would always call him the egg-sucking dog. Yeah. And it was horrible. They were both better talents than that. I don't know why their chemistry didn't work, but it didn't work. So I'm sure this match didn't work. So I know the Funks went over.
They did. They went over dirty.
But other than that, I really don't care about the match. I'm going to give it a 1.5 stars because I'm sure something funny happened in there worth seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid match for a semi-main event. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. I put it at 2.5. I felt like, yeah, it was not really memorable, but it wasn't, dismal. It wasn't that bad. That's just how I felt on it. And the big main event here, Hogan.
The cage.
The cage. Bundy.
The blue bird cage of doom.
Yes. Some people love that cage. Some people love the old, chain link fence. How do you feel about that?
I understand why they made it the blue thing, because if they would have had to make it chain link, you wouldn't have been able to see through it. Because they had to have the impression that somebody was going to be able to go over the cage and get out. That's why they created that monstrosity that they did. And I even understand why it was blue, because blue was least likely to affect the vision through the cameras. With that being said, the story building up that Hogan had been beaten up, which I think he got mugged in real life because his eye was messed up. And
yeah, that was the story.
And so they built a story around it that Bundy squashed him and cracked his ribs and messed up his face. Was compelling, and it covered like I said, there's rumors that Hogan got beat up in real life, got mugged, or got somebody picking on, hey, you're this big wrestler, I really know how to fight, and whooped his ass. So I don't know if that's the truth. I haven't really cared all that much to look at it, but that was the rumors going in on that match. So the storyline coming in, they did a good story package of presenting that. Bundy was kind of hot as far as he was, the momentum he was building with Bundamania was good. For that time period, it was really good, especially when most matches were Craig DeGeorge, reviews on multimedia different shows they had on Friday, Saturday, where you got very few real matches. So to get Bundy over as well as they did, that was a lot of talent. I think that really started the WWF going forward and accelerating away from the NWA. The match was, well, not great. The meaning behind the match was good enough. I'm going to go, it's a good 3-star match.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it because, I mean, you had the match and then you had, afterwards, of course, Heenan in there, getting locked in the cage and getting thrown into it. Fans really reacted to this match. I mean, I felt like the commentary was great on it. Overall, yeah, I give it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, and this is the match where Bobby Heenan really started to get recognized as a great manager. So
yes, he did. I mean, he really started to build his stable up from that point on. Well, I'd like to thank you guys once again for checking us out here. Let me know how this man did. I'm curious. He had no notes.
And I want you to tell him, quit doing that to me. Give me a chance, because you want to hear what the important one has to say with knowledge, with remembrance, with understanding, with clarity. So tell him, stop doing it again. Remember, no hashtag Uncle Elmer.
This is the important one, Mr. Mayhem.
And this is the god of embarrassment, Doctor Quack.
That's me. But don't worry, we'll get ready for that one there. Stay tuned, and I'm out.